School administrators call it an epidemic. Teenagers addicted to vaping, and it's showing up in tri-state schools. But not all vape cartridges are created equal. Some can deliver nicotine, others are based on cannabis, delivering THC or CBD. One thing they all have in common is none of them are permitted on school grounds. It's the start of another day at Quincy Senior High School.
Hi, kiddo.
The halls are full of students.
Let's go, guys. Let's head to class.
And school administrators say more students than ever before are carrying these. They're small, silent, and hard to detect.
It's definitely been building up.
Small enough to slip through security. Assistant Principal Bill Sanders tells me a few years ago, when other districts were starting to see vape pens, they weren't a problem here. But then that quickly changed, and not for the better.
Multiple kids who have a lot of addiction to it, and they struggle going more than a half an hour without trying to take a hit.
The campus is sprawling. Multiple outdoor spaces from ball fields to parking lots. Security is everywhere, and the staff is watching. But inside the building, large common areas, long hallways, and the most popular spot to sneak a hit off their vape.
There are so many kids and so few of you.
Yes. Well, we do bathroom searches now, so we all have an hour that we take, and we do sweeps and just to be more present.
Dean of Students Kelly Lawson is on the front lines every day.
And I think he's in the cafeteria.
Before the pandemic, she says staff might find 1 or 2 vapes per week. Now,
sometimes they'll hide them in the straps.
I bet now it's 1 a day, 2 a day, sometimes 3 a day.
Administrators agree vaping is dangerous. Kids might not even know what is in the vape, and they'll even pay to take a hit off another student's cartridge. The students who get caught with a vape end up here with school resource officer and Quincy police officer Aaron Dush.
Then they bring it to me. At that point in time, I can then help them determine whether or not it's a nicotine vape or a THC cannabis marijuana vape.
The penalties for getting caught with a vape can be extensive, anything from a simple warning to a suspension to a cannabis citation from police, which will include a court date and a fine. But the worry for police and Superintendent Todd Pettit goes beyond the legal system. They're worried about the health impact that could cause problems for decades to come.
Once kids are hooked, they're hooked. And that's the issue that we have with kids bringing them to school, because they can't make it through the day without that.
Anything that you put in your lungs that's not supposed to be there is going to harm it. There's no ifs and buts about it.
Dr. Umama Adil is a pulmonologist with Blessing Health System.
Your lung does not have the ability to filter products that it wasn't meant to filter.
Some simple facts, but a hard truth for some. She says research on vaping is still in the early stages. She says every parent, though, should be looking for warning signs, symptoms that resemble asthma, like a tightness in their chest or wheezing. Dr. Adil says they started seeing patients with these problems back in 2019, right when vaping started.
Almost like an outbreak of a lot of patients with vaping-induced acute lung injury. And actually a lot of case reports and case series of patients that died from vaping-induced lung injury.
The irony is, Adil says patients tell her they started vaping because they believed it was safer. She says that's just wrong. And authorities want parents to be on the lookout, do the unpopular thing, face the reality, and don't turn a blind eye.
I think it's just important for parents to just be open with their kids, have the talks about the stuff. How it's not good for you, but I think they can check their kids' belongings.
And if Dr. Adil could teach these students one lesson before they become her patients, it would be learn from the past.
The one thing I always stress is think about how smoking was, back in the 60s and 70s, right? People were smoking in restaurants, people were smoking in college campuses, professors would be smoking and teaching. This is how common smoking was. And it wasn't until 50 years later that we found the causation, that it causes cancers, it causes COPD, it causes emphysema. It took a long time to come up with that research. And by then it was too late for a lot of patients. And I think the same thing's going to happen with vaping.
Dr. Dill says the bottom line is there is just no way to know what is in a vape cartridge. And police also warned the THC levels found in a vape pen can be much higher than what was in a joint of marijuana 20 years ago.
And if you'd like to see more of our interviews with Dr. Adil, police, or school officials, you can find those right now on our WGEM Smart TV app.